Thank you, merci. Thank you. I'm happy you seem to have enjoyed the film. So I'm here to talk about this film. So do you have questions? Sorry, it's awkward. That's the credits. It's very awkward. Because we worked in America, we did post-production in Europe. We have a lot of people I've never met, and I'll never meet them. Anyway. Hi.
First one, right there.
I love the Vincent Gallo cameo. I was wondering if it would be a little for a cameo, and I was wondering if the switch was from the two-day storytelling, in which led which, if it was the sort of what before how to switch in relationships.
I have no idea what the question is. Gallo? Oh, to get Chris Rock in the film? Well, when I decided to do a sequel, I decided that it was not going to be the same guy, because I felt like Marion was pretty, you know, she was not the kind of person that's going to work out all this stuff with Jack eventually. So, you know, I thought, okay, Marion has a new boyfriend, and Chris Rock is the first person that came to my mind. You know, and then I was like, okay, should I write it for him, but not sure that he will even do it or be interested in doing it. So I went to IFFB Pro on the net, and I looked for his agent, and I found his agent, who happened to be an ex-agent of mine that had fired me, or I left, or I can't remember because I've left so many agencies and I've been fired from everywhere. So basically, I spoke to his agent, who's a really nice guy, and I asked him, so do you think Chris would be interested in working with me? He called me a half an hour later and said, you know, he's seen your work, he would be happy to work with you, you know, just write a good script. And you know, so then I started writing a script as good as I could write it, and you know, that was it. And then he said yes when he read it. But he was open to the idea, so then I knew that, and it was kind of fun to be writing for him, you know. So that's it. And Gallo, I wrote it for him, because I thought, okay, if I sold my soul, who would buy it? So I sent him the script, and he read the scene, and he was like, well, you know, it's funny, because if actually someone would sell their soul, I guess I would be the first person in this world to buy your soul. So, you know, he did it.
Okay.
Can you talk about, I mean, I want to say I'm really impressed by how much work you've done. It's so daunting. I wonder if you could just talk about taking on so many aspects of making a film, and then maybe a little bit about what's happening in Hollywood with women
In Hollywood.
these days.
So first question, first answer, basically, it's a lot of work to be acting, directing, producing, writing. It is a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of like, you know, I'm probably not going to live that long because of doing that as a for a living. So, but it's also exciting because it's a real challenge and it's fun, and it's true that I've been an actress for a long time, and I love acting, but I kind of felt it was not as creative as I wanted it to be. And very early on, my first screenplay I wrote, I was 16 years old. So I quickly went into the idea of directing. I went to study at film school at NYU and all that stuff. It took me forever to actually do my first film, and then people give me money because no one trusted me. Because I'm not very, like, I'm not the kind of person that walk into an office and say, I'm a great director, just give me money. You know, I'm not like that. So I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll make a good film, I'm not sure. But, you know, give me some money. So it usually never worked. It actually doesn't work that way. So since I'm a little bit insecure that way, you know, it didn't really work for many years. And then eventually some French guy gave me money to do 2 days in Paris, 500,000 euros, which is not much, but it's about $700,000 nowadays. Sorry. and basically about women in Hollywood, it's not obvious. Women in Hollywood is okay for producers, writers, actresses. Obviously, we need them to play the girlfriend, and the young girlfriend. And basically, that's it. I mean, it's hard in Hollywood for women, and maybe that's why most of my financing on film is basically European. It's all French. That was French, German, Belgian co-production. And I probably could have had some financing from the US, but I kind of didn't want to go there since I was able to raise the financing in Europe. And it's actually much more fashionable in France to be a woman director than it is in Hollywood. It's not yet really, you know, even though Bigelow won the Oscar and stuff, it's still kind of not totally, like I go to meetings with studios and they ask me questions like, do you know what a crane is? And I'm like, yeah. They ask me like basic questions on directing and I'm like, what the fuck? But it's funny. I take it as funny.
Yeah, so in a lot of the press you read the comparisons about you and a young French woman, Woody Allen, and so how do you take that as a compliment or is it kind of daunting?
I love Woody Allen and I take it as a compliment because Woody Allen is great and he's made great films all his career. You know, with films I like less than others, but you know, obviously not everybody can make great films all the time. You know, so he's done amazing films. So it's obviously a compliment. You know, it's funny because when I write or when I, you know, think of a project, I don't really think of Woody Allen or anyone really. I just try to think what amuses me for a comedy. So I just write what comes to my mind. We might have a few neuroses in common, which makes it like, you know, or like obsessions like death, sex, relationships, people in general. I mean, like, you know, diseases, you know, uncomfortable moments in life and stuff. So I guess all those things combined can make people think of, you know, Woody Allen, which I love. I mean, that's good. You know, if I can have a tenth of his career, I'd be happy. You know. So.
In the middle there.
And I'm starting to look like him. I'm not sure about that. It works for men, but for women, I don't know. It might be difficult to get laid eventually. It just made me feel really old, that's all. Okay. Yeah, no. It's good. Yeah, I mean, you know, the first one was in Paris, and I kind of like the idea of the American in Paris alone, fish out of water, totally lost, feeling being attacked by every angle of the city, of the people in the city, and having his girlfriend turn into another person, and he's like, he feels like he's alone in the world, basically, you know, which I thought was very funny because he feels totally like, he can't even order a burger in the first film, like, basically he's like so lost that he can't even, you know, do the basic needs of, you know, of survival in a big city, which is funny. But in this one, I kind of felt, okay, the obvious thing would have been maybe the French coming and feeling like the Americans were the one that, like, but I kind of like the idea that, again, the French are the people that kind of disturb the peace. You know, it's kind of a self-critical kind of thing, which I sense in the French, like, they're really kind of like, you know, when I think of the French, I think of the Gaulois, which is the old French, you know, which were just like Caesar, Julius Caesar, speak about, you know, the Gaulois as like people that are loud, obnoxious, that don't tell them, that don't do what they're told to do, that, you know, have dinner all the time, and, you know, and drink and party, and you like look at it and you're like, wow, this is French people, and like, you know, a lot of them are still, you know, there's something very, very like that about the French. So I thought it was funny that actually the French are coming to, you know, take over Manhattan, and only 3 of them like destroys the entire environment of this, you know, happy family. Kind of funny to me. well, in the first film I had both my parents. Unfortunately, my mom passed away between the two films. And my parents are both actors, and I've always admired them on stage when I was a kid. I mean, they were actors before I was born. And basically, to me, it's kind of like when I wrote 2 Days in Paris, I kind of wanted to give them that part because I knew they were going to be really funny, really, you know, they're really good actors, really good theater actors, and sometimes really good theater actors don't get the chance to have really good film parts. And I just felt it was a good occasion to give them something, you know, fun to do. So it was kind of like, it came organically to me to write it for them. And it's kind of fun to write for people you know. It being the girl playing my sister, who's actually a friend of mine, Alex Naon, who plays the annoying Manu, who's also a friend of mine. And then after that to write for, you know, Adam Goldberg, who's a friend of mine. So, you know, I mean, basically most of the people in those movies are friends of mine. So it's kind of fun to write for people you know. And sometimes it's complicated, you know, to direct your dad. It's not always easy. My dad is a person like, you know, you have to handle him. He's a lot of fun, but he has a lot of personality. Doesn't let me boss him around that easily, so it can be trouble sometimes. Yes.
What was the writing process like? Was it easy? It looked like you had a team. Was it two of you and your friends?
Mostly with Alexia, and I worked a little bit with Alex to start with. It was really fun to write with friends, and you know, I wasn't sure at the beginning with the direction of the film. I had many things happening in my life at the same time and stuff, and I had a baby, a lot of crazy stuff happening. And so basically, I say basically a lot. The process of writing with friends can be sometimes a little tedious because you disagree on things, but then it's also a lot of fun because you can bounce off ideas, and it makes it a lot of fun. Like, you know, sometimes I would tell Alexia, okay, you go write that scene, then I would take the scene, rewrite it, and vice versa. I mean, it was fun. It's fun to write with a good friend. I like it. I did it on For Sunrise and Sunset with Ethan and Richard, which are both good friends, and it's a lot of fun. Like, it can be very, very fun to do. So the writing process in general can be fun or torturous. It can be also torturous but pleasurable in a very twisted way. And it can be fun, period, like to write something. So when you write with friends, the torturous aspect of being stuck happens, but then you bounce off ideas until you figure it out instead of being alone with the angst of not finding what to say or what to write.
So through your work, what do you try and say about family and romantic relationships that you also don't see in other, you know, Hollywood or international?
What am I trying to say about family? And relationships. I'm trying to say that relationships are not easy, and they're subject to a lot of like difficult moments, which could be in the moment you're living them very dramatic, but then when you step back, it can be kind of funny. I mean, I think of that scene with when I come back from Gallo moment, and he's asking me because he's worried, jealous, angry, you know, that I disappeared. And it's a very funny scene, but both the way we played it is like first, you know, like I'm crying, he's very upset, you know, it's totally, but it's very funny because I'm crying and he's very upset, you know what I mean? We're not playing it comedic at all, you know, which I think sometimes in life, like dramatic moments can actually be funny, you know, and I think the kind of comedy I like, it's when it's rooted in reality, that it's not, well, you know, I like all sorts of comedy. I mean, I like Mel Brooks, you know, which is not like that, you know, which is not very rooted in reality, you know, but I like also more real comedy, like, you know, husbands and wives, or, you know, which is kind of dark and fucked up, but at the same time it's very funny, you know, so I like different kind. But for this, I kind of try to take, like, dramatic moment. I mean, the film could be a drama, really, if you wanted, you know, so it depends what view you have on the situation. That's what comedy comes from.
So there was an interesting moment when you were discussing the idea of having a soul or not, and it made me question, like, for a second, like,
what are they doing?
what if there is a soul?
What if there is a soul? Well, I hope there is one, but I don't really, I'm not, no, I would say I'm a, what's the word, atheist? Like 80% of my French compatriots. But at the same time, I have questions about the soul. Actually, the whole soul thing came about when I started thinking about, like, I was on the internet, I was on eBay buying something, I can't remember what, but I bought stuff on eBay. And suddenly I was like, okay, what could I sell that doesn't mean much to me but would mean for other people? And I thought a soul is an interesting concept, to sell the soul. And I thought people are selling anything, everything on the internet nowadays, and it seems like everything can be sold nowadays. You know, there's no more, nothing cannot be put into money, it seems, unfortunately. So why not have this conceptual idea of selling the soul? You know, I thought it was a fun idea. And then I thought of Marion, and I thought Marion is too neurotic to sell her soul, because I felt like the minute she's going to sell her soul, she's going to freak out and want it back, and then it's going to end up in Vincent Gallo's underwear. But really the goal was to end up, you know, having my soul in Vincent Gallo's underwear. That was the whole goal of the film.
We have time for one last question, and you've been raising your hand. You get it.
How much of marrying
What?
How much of marrying is you?
You know, I kind of like to create characters that could be me but are not me, and it seems like it's me but it's really not me. Like Marion is a little bit, you know, she's confused, she's not really sure what she wants in life, she's not, you know, totally grounded. And I feel I'm not like that. Like I feel I'm pretty grounded, I know very much what I want in life. You know, I've reached that level in my life where I actually do know what I want to do with my life. And Mario is a little bit more crazy. Like it's kind of like an alter ego, kind of like it could be me, but it's not me in the end, you know. Deeply, it's not me at all. So, you know, I have a few things in the film that are related to me personally, but actually the whole film itself is not autobiographical. I've never had those experiences. I mean, I know people that are like that. Like I know 20 menus, for example. At least. And but I don't really have this situation in my life. I'm not like remarried to someone with another kid. I mean, like there's lots of things that are very, very different. So, but I like to take a little bit of truth and turn it into something totally fictional. You know, it's fun too. So it brings more truth, you know, in a way, because the core of it, the first seed is actually true. So, well, thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. And 2 days in New York will be opening in theaters in mid-August. So please spread the word about the film, tweet about it, Facebook, let everyone know that they can see the film in mid-August. And thank you for coming out to the film. Good night.